Hey guys, John here. I want to show you a combo here. Basically, it's a face pull with this abduction, this pulling apart motion. So we have our face pull, which you guys may be familiar with. We're taking a cable or sometimes, something on a seated row, or we could use bands and things like that too. That's all good too, but this adds another element of opening things up. So we have this pulling apart as we're coming out. So we're getting even more activation back here in the upper back. Rhomboids in there. We're getting the posterior deltoids even better rather than just more rotator cuff, and this can easily still kind of get gummed up in here. So we want to go really up and back. So we say this down and forward stuff, the sitting posture, this is the anti-sitting, so we're going up and back. So I just want to show you some variations that will help solidify this and give you a good clean run at this movement. Basically anybody, again, sitting, just postural wise, it's very refreshing, very good. I think it should, some combination of a face pull at least should be done weekly, if not multiple times a week. It's going to strengthen our rotator cuffs, give us a lot of armor in our upper back. I do a lot of archery, I do a lot of throwing, things that really give me that space in my shoulders and help to break things up, set things back, get rid of the shoulder impingement that tends to gum up the anterior shoulder, and this weakness that tends to happen really for all of us, or this imbalance, relative weakness kind of stuff too. So we're setting things into place. It's also going to help our pressing strength and, again, just armor up everything around there. So let me show you this fundamental way to do things. The way I learned it and the way I like to do things is chop things down to our base. We're just going to loop around this small band here, and this key thing here, we want to find this right tension relationship where there's enough space here as I'm pulling the band apart so I can kind of check in there, and then enough where I'm pulling back. There's enough sweet spot when I get to the back here that I'm able to pull apart, and it's not too much pulling me in this way, so I'm able to get to that nice like goalpost position here. And then also as I'm pulling back, I'm not having to strain too much, which this band is gentler to find. That really strong guys can go up a little bit, one more band size, and that's probably about it for even the strongest of the strong. So I'm gonna come back here. I can flex the toes, tuck the toes. I'm not too worried about that part. What I'm doing to kneel here is get me away from overusing, we say throwing the ribs, scissoring. We want to keep this braced and solid. So again, I'm just chopping this down to a kneeling position. Just a nice place to spend some time anyways, and just simplifies our motion. You could do it seated as well if you have a hard time doing that, but standing would be the ultimate kind of progression if we can get there. So find that relationship here, pulling the bed apart as I'm coming back to right about my forehead. This would be a great place to start, and I'll spend a little bit of time here, more like a 2-second pull. I'm not trying to go fast. I'm holding there, and then I'm coming in. And as I'm pulling, I'm really thinking about this too. I'm really thinking about expanding my shoulders. My elbows, like if I'm bracing here, I'm like pushing out so I'm not scrunched up in here. I want to be out and away here, making that space, getting that activation of that back. Breathing's important, head posture too. We want the head neutral. We want to be breathing through our nose. Tongue should go on the roof of the mouth. Anything when we're pulling using this upper body, upper neck, shoulder girdle, we really want to emphasize that. So again, that would be kneeling. I could go to a standing variation, but I want to spend a little bit of time with that. It's simple enough there. You could progress back, going a little bit farther into rotation if you have that range, but you also see if you run out of range here, you'll see that shoulder come forward. It'll really want to fight and scrunch up. And again, that's for somebody, even, I use this as a rehab tool myself with both sides, doing this, bilaterally at the same time. But this next one's going to show you unilateral, so one side at a time, which generally is a better deal, especially if you have a big imbalance. You have a big deficit on one side or the other. Again, for me being archery, throwing, I have a lot of things I do that are naturally kind of imbalanced by, nature of being human in a sense too. So again, this one I'm going to use standing so I can really move around. This is a little different type of band. You could use the same kind of band. This has a nice handle to it. This is an old Perform Better band. Slastix is, I think, the product there. Try to put that in the comments as well. So with this now, what I'm trying to do is simulate the same position, but now I'm pulling at this kind of odd plane. Instead of, we'll see people do rotator cuff stuff here, or even like a face pull variation there. That's fine. But what I'm trying to get is this abduction, abduction going out. So I'm pulling out this way. Again, commonly this is really working nice posterior delt, getting things up and back again, or the back and the upper back combo here. So I'm pulling a little bit more across, so I'm at like a 45-degree angle from my rack. You'll have to play around with this, and obviously you can bias it more. You know, again, if I just went out like this, that would just be pure abduction, abduction, pulling away from my midline. But what I'm going to do is add this hybrid in here that I like. Now I want to brace my core. I want to, again, keep the head up, tongue on the roof of the mouth. This is really important. And I'm going to pull up and across right towards my face, up and across. Kind of odd as it comes right into my head, but I really like this as I come forward and across this nice pull and stretch, getting all that kind of odd range, that unique range that doesn't get worked very well in any typical gym exercise. I'll show you the other side from the back if you want to look at that. See everything activating in the upper shoulder here. Again, the right tension here where I can pull up and across and finish right out from my side here at about a 90-degree angle. And again, I can adjust this a little bit and find, yeah, right there for me. Again, I want to make sure this shoulder doesn't get, we say this pointy shoulder, I don't want to get into here where the shoulder comes forward and gets out of my optimal joint relationship with that ball and socket, a joint centration we call it. So I'm here, again, I can kind of adjust, I can play with these angles a little bit and bias more of this, again, this external rotation here or this abduction. So we have all this unlimited space. Again, I'm gonna hit my head or I'm gonna have to pull over my head. But again, the main goal would be right at this 90-degree angle, enough of this pulling apart, enough of going here. No extra strain. Repetition ranges, definitely more than 5, usually less than 20, maybe even up to 30 though. So the kind of sweet spot would be probably in that 15 to 20 range. We don't want a bunch of hypertrophy and again, all this like bad habits, all these prime movers kicking in like pecs. We don't want a bunch of lat and trap. We really want to keep those out of it. So more isolated, smooth movement. Again, like a 2-second pull, 2-second hold, spread that out there, and then come back in maybe even slower, at least 2 seconds. That's just a nice tempo, nice range. It's easy to remember. You're not gonna be completely bored out of your mind and take it, you know, lots of time to get this done. So again, this is working everything at rotator cuff, all this anti-sitting stuff that's just pulling us forward. So again, that face pull variation where we're really opening things up for you.